7 bounty hunters were arrested following the fatal shooting of Jalen Milan in Clarksville, Tennessee on April the 23rd of 2017. The 24-year-old victim, reported as being the father of 3 young children, was seated in the back of a sedan that was parked outside a Walmart neighborhood market on the night of the incident. Court records detailed how the suspects, who'd been hired to arrest an individual for skipping out on bond, had approached the vehicle in which Milan sat with their weapons drawn. The bounty hunters then reportedly smashed the car's windows without warning, prompting the driver to speed away from them, believing the car had been ambushed by gang members. The suspects subsequently opened fire on the fleeing car, striking Milan in the back and chest. They then got into their own vehicle and proceeded to pursue the car they'd targeted for a distance of roughly 7 miles. A short time after the shooting had occurred, Milan succumbed to his injuries. It was reported that the suspects eventually realized that the individual they'd been searching for wasn't in the vehicle they'd fired upon and consequently abandoned the chase. None of the occupants of the car in which Milan had been shot were wanted on outstanding charges, and none of them had been armed, according to subsequent reports. All 7 of the bounty hunters involved were initially charged in connection to Milan's death, and 2 of them reportedly reached plea deals with prosecutors in exchange for their testimonies. Following a criminal trial that lasted nearly 3 weeks, however, the defendants were found not guilty on all counts, except for Joshua Young, aged 28, who was convicted of reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon. Defense attorneys had argued that their clients had simply been acting in self-defense when they opened fire, as the vehicle that contained the victim had struck several of the bounty hunters in the process of fleeing the scene. Number 6. Justin Behag. Justin Behag, who regularly appeared on the reality show Dog the Bounty Hunter during the series' first 6 seasons, was taken into police custody in January of 2020. The 36-year-old bounty hunter was alleged to have violated the terms of his probation, which banned him from using intoxicants of any kind. The court order reportedly stemmed from a past domestic violence charge on which the former television personality had been convicted. Authorities in Edgewater, Colorado, where Behag resided, had been alerted to the man's alleged probation violations by Lisa Chapman, the daughter of the suspect's former co-star, Dog the Bounty Hunter. Behag had reportedly engaged in a contentious social media feud with Chapman roughly a month prior to his arrest. On January the 12th, Edgewater police officers searched Behag's home, where they reportedly found evidence of marijuana use and noted that the man himself smelled strongly of alcohol. It was then that they placed him under arrest. Number 5. Jeremy Hughes. A Berkeley County Sheriff's deputy was sent to a local mulch supplier in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, on the afternoon of November the 22nd of 2021, after a store employee had contacted the police to report a suspicious person. The responding officer learned that shortly after 12 p.m., a man who'd identified himself as Brian Williams had walked into the store carrying a shotgun and a holstered pistol. He was also described as wearing tactical clothing with a shirt that had the word police printed on the front of it. He claimed to be a U.S. Marshal in search of a man dressed in all orange. The armed individual eventually left the store, but then reportedly called the business back a short time later to inform the employees that he'd located the person for whom he'd been looking and told them they could therefore relax. The deputy dispatched to the scene obtained the phone number from which the suspect had called the store. During the ensuing investigation, it emerged that the man who'd claimed to be Brian Williams was actually a convicted felon by the name of Jeremy Hughes, who'd been working as a freelance bounty hunter on the day he entered the mulch store. On December the 1st, the 33-year-old was taken into custody and charged with impersonating a police officer. Number 4. The Lipstick Bounty Hunters. In March of 2013, a group of women from Orange County, California, calling themselves the Lipstick Bounty Hunters, assaulted a man whom they were trying to bring into custody. The incident reportedly occurred at an Arby's restaurant in Huntington Beach on the 18th of the month. The women had been in pursuit of 35-year-old Daniel Duval, who'd been released on bond while facing various drug and weapons charges. According to the owner of the Lipstick Bounty Hunters agency, Teresa Galt, she and her crew had been hired to arrest Duval after he'd paid only $1,000 of his $5,000 bail bond. As they were attempting to take the man into custody, Galt and her partners, who were dressed in pink outfits and armed, became involved in a physical altercation with Duval in the parking lot of the restaurant. During the struggle, the women reportedly shot him with a stun gun, pepper spray, and rubber bullets, severely injuring one of his eyes in the process. The entire incident was captured on video by Galt herself, who stated that recording the bounty hunter's detention attempts was standard procedure. Duval later filed a lawsuit against the lipstick bounty hunters, claiming that he was no longer able to see out of his right eye due to the women's use of excessive force. Number 3. Dog the Bounty Hunter. Reality TV star Dwayne Chapman, who's better known by the alias Dog the Bounty Hunter, was served a $1.3 million defamation lawsuit in 2021, which stemmed from his alleged racist and homophobic behavior while producing the show Dog Unleashed. The accusations of Chapman's misconduct had arisen after the reality series, which had planned to follow the celebrity bounty hunter as he tracked violent fugitives across the United States, was cancelled mere weeks before it was scheduled to premiere. As detailed in the lawsuit filed by the president and CEO of Unleashed Entertainment, Michael Donovan, Chapman's actions during production breached contractual agreements. The 68-year-old had allegedly used racially charged language in reference to Black Lives Matter activists and had also made several offhand comments deemed homophobic about an openly gay man. The lawsuit further claimed that the investigation into Chapman's alleged impropriety discovered that he'd illegally holstered a taser while filming an episode of the show in Virginia. As per state law, individuals convicted of a violent crime are prohibited from carrying a device such as the one referenced in the lawsuit. Chapman had previously been convicted of first-degree murder in 1976, and his possession of the taser was therefore considered illegal in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Chapman claimed the lawsuit malicious and bogus, while stating his intentions to pursue retaliatory legal action against Donovan. Today's topic was requested by Eli, Brooklyn Eames 32, and Tori Hope. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Matador Recovery. On the night of February the 8th of 2021, 3 bounty hunters from the bail bonding company Matador Recovery descended on a house in a residential neighborhood of Nashville, Tennessee, which they believed belonged to a man they'd been tracking. According to a police report, the 3 suspects broke down the front door and charged inside before holding the homeowner, Lavaris Comer, and his 16-year-old son at gunpoint. They claimed to be looking for a man named Tavares, who'd allegedly failed to show up for a scheduled court appearance. After forcing their way into the residence, the bounty hunters reportedly knocked Comer to the ground and continued to point their weapons at him and the teenager while ignoring their insistence that the individual they were searching for wasn't there. The armed men, one of whom was later identified as the owner of Matador Recovery, 51-year-old Khalil Abdullah, initially didn't believe Comer's claims of innocence. However, they eventually realized that they'd entered the wrong house and promptly fled the scene. Comer contacted Nashville police to report the incident and was able to provide the authorities with the suspect's license plate number. Roughly 2 months later, Abdullah was positively identified by the authorities and taken into custody. He was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and aggravated criminal trespass. It emerged that Abdullah had previously been arrested in 2014. His detainment had been related to an incident in which he'd allegedly broken into a woman's home in search of her husband, who was accused of not showing up to court for a traffic infraction. The 2 other bounty hunters involved in the ambush of Comer's residence had not yet been identified, as per the latest updates on the case. Number 1. Fabian Hector Herrera. On April the 23rd of 2021, bounty hunter Fabian Hector Herrera was sent to a condo unit in Palm Springs, California, to arrest a man named David Spann. Herrera had been hired by Justice Bail Bonds of Temecula after Spann had allegedly violated the terms of his bail bond by disabling the electronic monitoring device he'd been required to wear. The bounty hunter reportedly contacted Palm Springs police just before 2 a.m. to let them know he was about to take Spann into custody. Shortly thereafter, he was captured by the latter's doorbell security camera fruitlessly attempted to kick open the front door to his condo. Herrera who was accompanied by his mother, Lisa Vargas, eventually gained access to the residence by breaking down the door with a sledgehammer. The bounty hunter subsequently called the police a second time to report that he was holding Span at gunpoint and was in need of support. 2 Palm Springs police officers arrived at the scene minutes later. Span, who was wielding a knife, demanded that Herrera and the officers leave immediately, but one of the policemen then reportedly deployed his taser, causing the homeowner to stumble backwards. The officers retreated, but Herrera proceeded to fire a single gunshot at Span, killing him instantly. Following the shooting, the officers arrested the bounty hunter, and he was consequently charged with murder. It would later emerge that Herrera wasn't actually a licensed bail agent, but a twice-convicted felon. He thus wasn't allowed to carry the firearm that he ultimately used to gun down Span that night. In the wake of this discovery, Herrera faced further charges of felon in possession of a gun, body armor, and ammunition. In November of 2021, he entered a plea of not guilty, and his trial readiness conference was scheduled for February the 3rd of 2022. Thanks for watching. Which 68-year-old man would you rather have to fight? Dog the Bounty Hunter or Hulk Hogan? Let us know in the comments section below.